started looking at the music of Joni Mitchell seriously about 13 years ago, after I got her record, Both Sides Now. But people had been telling me for literally 30 years that I should be singing some Joni Mitchell and I should spend more time with Joni Mitchell. So after that record came out, I pretty much did that. I would be on the road in New York and I would listen to one Joni Mitchell album over and over again during my days when I was walking around the city. And this went on for over 10 years. When about 2.5 years ago, the Turtle Island Quartet asked me about doing a collaboration and mentioned Joni Mitchell, I knew that that was a really good place to start. And so we started to perform and put together a couple of arrangements of Joni Mitchell songs. We debuted the music last September in Santa Barbara, and at the time Steve Cloud, who manages Keith Jarrett, was there, and he came to me after the show and he said, you need to do a whole Joni Mitchell project. And I started to think about who I wanted to use on the CD. I knew that my band was kind of taking a break, and I thought, wow, I've been doing some work with Hubert Laws, that would be fantastic. And then very soon after this, Peter Erskine contacted me and said he'd like to be a part of it, and I was thrilled. And then he recommended Larry Golding's, which was an inspired idea. And I was an even bigger fan of Larry's acoustic piano playing than his B3 playing, which is really fabulous and he's very known for. And I knew that some of these arrangements were going to be very simple and very improvised. They were going to be just two people who know the song, doing the song, kind of for the first time fresh. And that's how Larry and I approached the ballads between us.
It's always a risk when you're taking folk music, pop music, whatever, what have you, into this other realm. But we got together one day at her house, and I think we both knew instantly that we could just make this work. In fact, we barely rehearsed. We just kind of knew that that it was right, and that we wanted to leave most of it to the moment of the studio.
Also around this time, Al Jarreau's people contacted me and asked me about doing a duet with him on his album. And being the opportunist that I am, I immediately said, that's great, but I want you to do a duet with me on my Joni Mitchell record. And he said, fine. And so we worked that out too. It's kind of interesting because as I was preparing to do the album, I started to listen to a few albums of Joni's that I wasn't familiar with. One that I should have been familiar with, but I wasn't, is an album she did with Vince Mendoza called Travelogue. And it's her compositions with orchestral arrangements, and it's kind of a bridge between Both Sides Now with all the standards and her work. And on that album is a song that she first recorded on Wild Things Run Fast called Be Cool. And as I was listening to the album in my house, when it got to that song, I thought, this sounds like Al Jarreau should be singing it. And I immediately wrote it down, and I knew that was the song I wanted to do with Al Jarreau. And so I started thinking about what kind of a cappella groove thing could I do that's you know, related to what so inspires me about Al's own singing and Al's work. And I contacted him and said, what key do you hear yourself doing this in? And started to work on it. But it really sounds like it was written for Al, and especially now because then I arranged it for Al. So. I really wanted to be thinking about recording things that haven't been recorded a lot before. And one of these songs that I really was committed to is a song that I've introduced in shows with the Turtle Island as possibly the most important song that Joni ever wrote, and that is Little Green. And it's the song she wrote about giving her daughter up for adoption. And I don't know of any other covers of it. There might be some, but I don't know of them. And this song, I think, is one of her greatest things that she ever wrote. So I was very committed to this and worked on a little sketch of it with Mark Summer on the cello, with a little cello ostinato that he came up with, and a little reharmonization. And then I called my friend Julie Bernstein, who's a great arranger, and asked her to write an arrangement. And so I feel really happy that Little Green is on this album.
I went to California.
Peter Erskine is the first person that mentioned the idea of Dry Cleaner from Des Moines on this album. He was the drummer on Joni's version on the Mingus album and sets up a groove that just kills me every time I hear it. And then Jaco Pastorius plays an amazing bass groove and also wrote the arrangement on that album. So I knew that I didn't want to do it exactly like that because that thing is just so perfect that I was a little worried about even addressing it. So we just took the tempo down a little bit, invited Hubert Laws in, had it on B3, and got a basic sketch, and off we went. And it's one of my favorite tracks.
Tierney just does an incredible job telling the story of the song. The lyrics just ring out, they make total sense to me. So coming all the way around, 35 years or so later, it was great fun to do this tune and to have this version now as part of Tierney's tribute to Joni. It's just terrific, and Hubert Laws, wow.
So this really has been kind of a dream project, and it's been the easiest CD to sequence and to put together of any of the CDs that I've done in all these years. It's really meaningful to me because I sense the connection of Joni Mitchell's music to the Great American Songbook, and that's kind of what I'm trying to point out with this. I hope it's a way for Joni Mitchell fans to understand what Joni has always been resonating with on some level is a connection to the Great American Songbook. And I hope it introduces my jazz fans to Joni's music in a way that presents it so that they can really hear the integrity of this music.
Alive, alive, I wanna get up and jive. I wanna wreck my stockings in some jukebox dive. Do you wanna dance with me, baby? Do you wanna take a chance of maybe finding some sweet romance with me, baby?